And basically, we're going to talk about some common steps to web security. We could call it common sense steps, but these are things that may or may not necessarily occur to all of us until we have a problem. My audio is low. Okay, let's see. All right, how about now? All right, very good. Yeah, these are all going to be things that I think probably will not occur to you until you have a problem. And so we want to talk about some things you can do ahead of time before there's a problem. And some of them are going to cost you a little money and some of them will not. But if you think about the time and the money you're going to spend on the back end when you're trying to recover not only your data, when you're trying to recover some of the time you lost, the little money that you're probably going to have to pay in order to do any of what I'm going to be talking about tonight is going to really help you, and you'll be glad that you paid it. Now, there are no affiliate links or anything like that, so I'm not here to sell you anything. What I am here to do is to give you some things to think about and give you some things to work on in order to secure your online business. And I want to say this at the outset, there's no way to fully secure your business. And some things I'm going to suggest you have some other people do for you. And other things I'm going to suggest that you get started on doing them. And if you feel like, well, I don't want to spend the money on that right now, then you put it on the list of things that you are going to spend money on, right? So that's kind of where we're going to approach this here tonight. So let's talk about, so to be secure, what costs business owners like you and I the most is the time involved with the security issue. So anytime we've got to deal with something, yeah, there's probably going to be money. Most of us have figured out how to protect ourselves, and we got credit card protection and all those things, and we'll be able to get the money back typically, right? You know, identity theft and other things like that. There are firms out there who deal with that. I don't think is the most, I don't even think that's the most pressing thing for you if you're in business, an online business or a brick and mortar business. It is the time you lose. It's opportunity cost. It's time that you've got to spend not doing your business. It's time you've got to spend not working on the things that you were working on. It's time you've got to spend reestablishing relationships and all those things that you were progressing on until you had the security issue, and you got to stop to deal with it. So really, it's the time involved. And therefore, taking precautions is the best way to preserve your time in your business. So that's really what we're talking about here tonight. What can you do to secure yourself when you're making payments, right? What can you secure yourself when you're taking payments? Right? What can you do to protect yourself against hardware loss? There's not a lot, but there are some things that you can do, and they're not always going to be the things that are going to be most obvious. This is not going to be solely about securing your WordPress website. So, in fact, most of this is not going to be about WordPress. Now, there are entire courses about WordPress. We're not going to fully talk about WordPress here tonight. The technical things that you can do for your WordPress site, and here is where I'm going to suggest that you spend a little money. You need to hire someone to do these things and be done with it, rather than getting in and messing around with HTA access files and all those things. I'm sure you're capable of it. But as an online business owner, as a brick and mortar business owner, these are things that really, they're not going to cost you to have somebody done, have someone do them for you. And I'm going to run through these things. I'm going to run through these things now. I'm changing the database, right? Making the database secure. Again, that's something you could pay somebody to do. Securing your WP config file. And again, some of these things you might feel like, well, these are sort of over my head. Maybe you should explain these things. Actually, I'm really encouraging you to have somebody do these things. And these are all things that will make your WordPress site more secure. Securing your plugin directory, right? That's something that you can do, again, to make sure that somebody isn't getting into your plugins and you're not getting some script in there that's going to cause you problems. Securing your admin file, not showing the version of your WordPress, right? Logging in using HTTPS. Most of you all know how to do that. If you're going to have membership sites, right? Limiting the login attempts. So in other words, when you go out and you buy a membership plugin, or you go out and you buy something that's going to be on WordPress, you want to limit the number of people and the number of times people can log into your site. And it might seem to be a hassle to the customer, but typically when somebody's got to log in 10 or 15 times, sometimes it's legitimate, but oftentimes it's because either they're working with somebody else or because they're sharing your account. And again, what you're trying to do is securing your site. And really, we're not talking about necessarily securing your income here. We're just talking about the kind of things that can cause you problems in terms of losing money and data loss. Hiding your login errors. Securing your computer. We're going to actually talk about that, and preventing script injection, right? And securing your HTA access file, right? All those are things that, again, these are things that when it comes to your WordPress website, if you don't know how to really do these things, I would not even go into trying to learn how to do them. Typically, you can probably find somebody on Upwork. You can find someone on any of the freelancing sites. They can put together a security bundle for you, and then you can go through all of these things, either use these things as a checklist or add on some things that you want to have done. And yeah, Brian's talking about like the crypto miners. Yeah, exactly. Passwords, right? So let's talk about passwords for a second. Without fail, I'm going to tell you to use a password manager, right? The reason you want to use a password manager is because all the passwords you're going to have to set up, whether it's for yourself or somebody else, then if you set up simple passwords, they're going to be easy to guess. So now is the era where most of you on this call, most of you who are listening to me, you probably have right now in operation, I'm going to guess, no less than 20 passwords than you've got to use. Or in other words, you have probably about 20 logins you've got to do. Right? If that's you, put a 1 in the question box. If you can probably think of about 20 or getting up to 20, then you're going to want to start thinking about using a password manager. Right? And so, and Brian's asking, will your web host do this for you? Brian, do you mean a password manager, or do you mean some of the stuff for WordPress? Do you mean some of the stuff? Are you asking about the stuff for WordPress or for passwords? If you're talking about the stuff for your web host, well, your web host, yeah, for WordPress. Sometimes your web host will do all of that for you. That's exactly right. If you have a virtual private server, I'm going to talk about that a little bit, then more than likely they'll add that on as a service, whether it's on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, or they'll do it for you for a one-time fee. So yeah, that's a great point. Typically, that's a service that your web host will offer, and whatever it costs, it's probably going to be worth it. Right? Yeah, and Dana's saying she's used RoboForm for years. That's actually one of the ones that I would suggest that you really take a strong look at. If you don't have a password manager, you can get RoboForm. They will create secure passwords for you. They will give you a master password. Then all you've got to do is remember one password, and then you'll have access to all your other passwords. If you get in a jam and you can't use your personal computer, you can actually get to one. You can actually get to your RoboForm through your mobile device. You can also get to your RoboForm through the web. So you can get access to all of your passwords in secure online locations. So RoboForm is kind of I'd say it's one of the most popular. I don't know if I'd rate it the best because I don't know which one is best or not, but I've used RoboForm for years. A number of people who are into online marketing and they have hundreds of passwords to log into. Then it is a great facility to use. There's another service called LastPass. LastPass, pretty much the same thing. Like RoboForm, and then there's another one called 1Password. And I think that's peculiar to the Mac, right, or to the Apple universe. But regardless, it really does not matter which one you use as far as this session is going to go. You need to get one, though. Creating an insecure password, you were really asking for trouble, and you were asking for somebody to be able to guess it. And anything that's going to be like your name or your birthday or your name or your daughter's name, your daughter's birthday, all those things, more than likely, and people have, people who are working at this, they will randomize, different strings and different characters to try to guess your password by brute force, try to get into your online account. So please, I think RoboForm is maybe $19 for a calendar year, and it's probably going to be probably the best $19 you're going to spend, right? So that's if you didn't do anything else beside that one thing, and you were to start using the random passwords created by RoboForm for everything, then you will have gone probably, I'd say, 2/3 of the way down the line towards securing your system, right? And Tracy is saying that something called Dashlane is free, right? There's something called Dashlane. I've never heard of Dashlane, but you can check it out probably at dashlane.com. Okay. And when you're going to use these things, allow the random password to be created. So don't get RoboForm or any of these and then use it to use your same old password, right? Use a random password. If you're going to have others using your stuff, you're going to have other people logging in, please let somebody create your passwords for other people. So don't let them create something that's going to be insecure. You create it for them. And then think carefully about whether or not you're going to allow somebody to change their password, right? Because again, especially if somebody's got access, and you wouldn't think about this otherwise, but think about this for a second. Let's say that I am your virtual assistant, and you give me access to my account, and you give me a random password, but at the same time, what's the first thing I'm going to do when you give me a random password? Right, what do you think I'm going to do as your VA if you give me the opportunity? I'm going to change that password. And what am I going to change it to? I'm going to change it to something that's going to be easy for me to memorize. And listen, I would not give anybody the opportunity if they're going to be working for you as an assistant, working for you kind of alongside of you, and especially if you're going to give them admin privileges. Do not give people the opportunity to change their password. Right? Do you understand why I'm saying that? So if you get that, please put the number 2 in the question box if you understand where I'm coming from there. Typically, one of the things that people do when they have virtual assistants working for them, is they'll just give them access to their admin account. Do not do that. Right? And again, I understand that's common sense, but you'd be surprised, when you get busy and you get the jam, and then you've got to go and you got to create a password, a login, and all that stuff. And you think, okay, I'll just give you access to my account. You just use mine. Please do not do that. And I can tell you horror stories from my own personal perspective, times when I've done that, and I can't think of a time when it didn't come back to bite me. So again, please do not give use of your main account to anything. Right? Always create another account for somebody. And if you're going to buy something, right, pay for the additional user. Whatever you're paying for the additional user is going to be worth the money. It's typically going to be temporary. If you're going to buy some kind of software, if you're going to buy access to a service, you need to ask them. You need to find out if you're going to be able to give access to an additional user. Because if you're not, then that means then that you're locked into that software and you're never going to be able to have somebody help you use it. And typically when someone sells you something, what they're trying to do is they're trying to limit access to it. They don't want a lot of people logging in. But for your standpoint, what you need is flexibility to be able to offer somebody else a login. Right? So again, please keep that in mind. Again, these are really common sense steps, but they're common sense steps that you wouldn't think to take them until you have a problem.